Good afternoon, everybody. We got everything set up here, the best we can do it. I hope everybody's enjoying the weekend. It is just beautiful, summerish here. Uh, couldn't ask for anything better. So thanks for your support. We're climbing. Join the channel if you want. There's the buttons there. Hit the notifications, share, like, subscribe, do a backflip. Just support the channel if you could. That Utah game yesterday, I never thought a college team could have. Given the points against Oregon State, two top 20 or top 10 teams, and everything else, but tough way to go down. They played tough. Their defense hung in there, but they just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. Oregon State just too much, but. Two defensive teams, but the backup quarterbacks for Utah, just a complete zero. Complete zero. Then they took the guy out. They took the backup guy out. They put in another guy. He stunk up the joint. They brought in another guy. They spared him in the gut. They knocked him out of the game. Then they put the original backup guy in, and he just stunk up the joint. Even worse. So, Lance, where you been, man? Deb, good to have you here. I'm just talking my stuff. I like USC. I think USC is minus 20 or minus 21 or 22 points at Colorado. Colorado has just been hype. And, you know, they beat a TCU team that was on the downslide. So you got the hype, Deion Sanders, the quarterback. They're all right, but against any formidable opponent, USC's got that Caleb Williams. He's like Patrick Mahomes. They should have made USC minus 30. Wow. On the road against Colorado. I don't even know when that game is starting or what's going on here, but I was busy earlier, so I'm just checking in now. You see these designer teams. These designer teams, like Kansas is at Texas, and whatever the line is there, 20, 21, 20. Make a minus 23.5. Georgia on the road at Auburn. Make them 22.5. They look like cherries. They just look like cherries. We're not going to do the NFL right now. Well, yeah, let's do it. Well, you know I love Detroit. I said move that line to 6. So, like I said the other day, I just gotta, I think it's a cherry. The Broncos just got blown out by Miami. I said they'd get beat by 40. They got beat by 50. But even though you still have Russell Wilson against Fields, quarterback to quarterback. I don't care how bad the Broncos were in that game last week all the way to the first half. The Broncos played tough. Then they just gave up. They let go of the rope in the second half. But them minus 3.5 on the road to Chicago. Historically, you would never do that. But it's a new day. It's a new age. If you're at the casino, move that line. Move that line to minus 6.5 or minus 9.5 or minus 13.5 and get odds on your money. So I just think quarterback for quarterback, that's a cherry. And like, wow, how could you? Denver's just completely in disarray. I don't think Chicago could beat the high school right now. And they're not going to see anything like they saw against Miami. They were in that game in the first half against Miami. If Miami played Chicago that day, it would have been 100-0. So Russell Wilson I mean, minus 3.5. I think that's it. I think you're not going to get leverage like that anytime soon with them. I mean, they played tough. They do have some good key players on defense. This Miami, they're just a designer team. They're just a fast break team. They got caught up in a tornado, that's all. What else do we have? I like the Chargers, minus 4.5. The Raiders who are these Raiders? They got two names on there. They can't, these commentators, they tout this and that. They stink, the commentators. They're always fluffing things up. They're just fluff, fluff, fluff. They stink. And the Cardinals beat the Cowboys. And, the 49ers might be the Super Bowl favorite. But I just believe that the Cardinals, that defense is a lot tougher. And Dobbs, he's coming around. I mean, he's been around a long time, but 14's a lot. I know these teams can rock and roll and blow teams out, but that 14, I think the Cardinals are even. I don't think that was a fluke against Dallas. Dallas has a very complex offense, and they shut them down. Was it a fluke? Well, we'll find out. The NFL stands for not for long, so we'll see. But the 49ers, they fast break. Kansas City, they fast break. What's that line? 9.5, Kansas City at the Jets. That Jets defense is trying to hold down the fort, but they're going to get worn out. They're on the field for 50% more plays than the average NFL team because their offense is always going 3 and out. So I coined it, not for long. No, there was a guy. The first time I heard it was a long time ago at the club or whatever. Some old timer was like, Jerry Glanville, the Oilers. Wow. Not for long. They were throwing that around. Washington at the Eagles. If this was like a college game, that line would be Philly minus 16.5. But the NFL, it's more parity. And Washington does have a tough front four on defense. But you just can't contain these Eagles. No. Eagles, lock. That's easy. That's nothing. That's nothing. Steelers on the road. Now, you're talking about the Steelers. They're going against Texans. The Texans got that C.J. Stroud. Now, the Steelers have been playing tough. They're getting back to their, Steelers are the favorites. What do you think about the Steelers as road favorite? I look for them to play down to Texans and get upset. Well, yeah. I'm kind of leaning toward Texans, mine plus 3.5. Yeah, I'm looking for the Texans because that quarterback might be getting better. That quarterback, C.J. Stroud, some nice pedigree there. And I'm not totally sold. I mean, Pittsburgh's played some tough games, but there's a long way to go. And sometimes you see these scrub teams that they might show up. Otherwise, there's all these ebb and flows in the NFL, but quarterback to quarterback, that's all right. So, yeah. I mean, so that's about that for that. You guys heard me repeat these a couple times, and the Raiders, they had that Garoppolo playing with a concussion that night. The Raiders, all the penalties, just in disarray. They're catching the Chargers at home. The Chargers are at home minus 4.5. I don't know. I mean, the Raiders, the coaching stinks. he was a better offensive coordinator, but he made some mistakes. They went for, at the end of that game, they blew it. Chargers are going to try to rise up, -4.5. Cherry, complete cherry. Eagles cherry. And that's more or less the Texans. Would be counting the Texans, but sometimes the high pedigree college football quarterbacks, they need a little time to get used to the offensive game plan, these new defensive schemes. I like the Browns. The Browns, I think, might have one of the best defenses in the league. And they'll pound the ball down your throat, too, with a running game. And their passing game ain't that bad. The Cleveland Browns are quietly stepping up. You don't hear them on TV, the Browns. The Browns are bringing it. That defense. Wow. And Lamar Jackson, he can run around. He can do, very elusive. Yeah. But the other guy come in, they're not bad. I can't think of the name, but they're sound. Oh, yeah, Ernie Ford. Lance is on point. Lance 33. So, Cocaine Alley, Cocaine Annie. There, back in the day, there was some crime, gangsters, and my godfather, all about it. He did work for some different crime families, and they had they knew people, whoever they dated, and they came upon one of the girlfriend's sister. There was a fluke accident. I don't know if she got gangrene or she was on a motorcycle and half her leg got cut off. There was a couple stories. You get that bacteria, sometimes meningitis. I don't know if it was that or a motorcycle accident on the back with somebody, but she had an artificial leg, T-Bird. So these guys had the bright idea, Dapper the Rapper, they had the bright idea of hollow that artificial leg out, fill it up with dope and heroin and cocaine and everything else, and then she could go, they hollow it all the way out, and then where they strap it, and she went right through customs. You could put she would say, "You want me to unstrap?" She'd go in, and then then they would say, go through the thing, and they would say, "Oh, you could tell by the X-ray." But they didn't have high-tech stuff back then, and she'd just go right through. You could fit 3 kilos in there, $60,000-$70,000 worth of cocaine, and she made a lot of money, and they made a lot of money, and my godfather would wait for her on the other side with a guy from this is what I wanted to also state, that you see Mecca audio on there, and he talks about Harlem and the Jamaicans and how they ran that drug business, and the mob, the Italian mob families couldn't do stuff. The Italian mob families were everywhere. They didn't. Everybody was making money. And it's like, they had the biggest guy there, the TV show for all the cocaine that was coming through there, but the mafia could broker deals through them. Also, they had guys in Miami. They had guys from cartels. I met one a million years ago. I told you that story about the guy that come in, and the bosses knew. The bosses knew in every family that these their crews and everybody else was moving cocaine. Whatever you see on YouTube, 8 million videos, they were selling anything they could make money on. They didn't have morals. You're blowing guys' heads off, and no, we don't sell heroin. A lot of the families did frown on heroin for some reason, because there was a lot of junkies in their crews. Let it be known, a lot of junkies in their crews. They frowned upon that. You were a crackhead on a crew, you're not going to make it 1 week. So that's that. But so they had this cocaine Annie, and they were making a lot of money. And then when she came through, my godfather sometimes would have one of the guys from Harlem that were high up ranking people that have connections to Colombia, everywhere else, and they all made money. She was already hooked on like pain meds or whatever, and then she got a little wild, and then she couldn't be trusted. She got a little bit too wild, but they used her 4 or 5 times. They made a ton of money off of her, but she made some money, and she was into doing substances, and you says the Genovese family run Harlem. The people in Harlem ran Harlem. You know, it wasn't all Italian. Italians did business down there. Mecca Audio, that was one of the biggest cocaine. He's got a channel now, Mecca. He tries to act like they told the Italian gangsters what to do. Now, there were some treacherous soldiers down there for those Harlem, the Harlem mob down there. Treacherous, but poor Mecca, you didn't run the Italians. You were lucky the Italians made deals with you guys, because you didn't have an army like the Colombos or the Gambinos. Mecca, sorry, you do a good show and everything, but you didn't have an army like that. No, you couldn't go down 3 blocks and muster up. No, I never watched that, but they ran their. Everybody stayed within their mix, but nobody. He tries to say that, when they went downtown and they were punking the Italians, like the Harlem Blacks and their crews. Not that it's black or white. I'm not saying black or white, but he was trying to say they were punking the Italians coming in there, and you could only do business from here to those 4 blocks. Whatever they set up, it was set up because the Italians agreed. And I'll tell you one thing, Mecca, God bless you. You did 40 years in prison, 30 years in prison. God bless you. But if the Italians wanted that turf, Harlem, Bronx, they would have took it with violence. And there would have been nothing you or your boys could have done about it. Nothing. You can't match these armies that would just come in every day. If they saw anybody on this, you would be done. You'd be done. But they had the big connection, just like the Godfather of Harlem. But they didn't. That guy did business with everybody. He did the business. Business is business. Those guys in those cartels, they could give a crap about the Gambinos and the Colombos and the Genovese. Those cartels aren't caring about New York City crime family drama. They're ready with their soldiers that are going to make deals, business. They're not into that gossip. Oh, be careful here, be careful there. All I'm saying is the Italian mafia could have went in and ruled Harlem if they wanted to. And you don't think the Godfather of Harlem, ladies and gentlemen, newsflash, might have been paying a couple envelopes up to some of the Italian crime families because they let him run that. They let him run it. I guarantee you one thing. He met with some of the bosses. I'll tell you one thing at Bumpy Johnson. I'll tell you this. They act like in media and everything that they just punked the Italian mafia. They want to portray that in whatever media or shows or anything. They want to act like they... You're talking about that organization and 5 mafia crime families. What is Bumpy Johnson going to do with 5 mafia crime families coming after him? Come on. Poor Mecca tries to act like, yeah, we came in there. We got a guy. They machine gun. Oh, yeah, you ambushed somebody somewhere. Of course, it's easy to ambush somebody. But then these boys came back down and took care of business. But you can't... that was a generation of time where drugs, cocaine, heroin, even before crack in the 80s, but that's when things skyrocketed. Mecca and a lot of them made their money on crack. They made all that money. So they had old cocaine, Annie, artificial leg, but you see these people. Now I'm thinking cocaine. She lost her leg and the doctor gave her pain medicine. Okay. So she was rocking and rolling on pain medicine. And then some of the wise guys come in and said, yeah, that's easy to go through the airport or somewhere with an artificial leg, hollow it out. And then inside, you could put like aluminum foil or other stuff, even if there was to be an x-ray. Well, here's another thing. A lot of the people at customs at the airport were getting paid off anyways. So it's an easy hustle. It's easy money, and everybody's making money. But yeah, I just get a little, well, I'm an older guy now, but it's just a little crazy when you hear some of these guys talking about like they intimidated the mob about Harlem and Bronx, and yeah, they made enough money down there. And my godfather knew everybody everywhere, and my godfather was closer to the Colombos, but he would, where you make money, if he could go down there with Bumpy Johnson, and there's another couple notable names that were running around down there that was on the Larry Rolla show, ROLLA. Check Larry Rolla out, because he was a bad mamma jamma and he did business with those guys in Harlem. But there were some other guys down there, and they were friendly. It wasn't like they wanted conflict with if my godfather does piecework for these people, if he does piecework for all these families, my godfather's known. And if he's on good terms with those boys in Harlem, it's all good. They sent, because I'll tell you one thing. My godfather might have went down there to one of those old timers they're right now, but they were younger than my godfather at the time, because this is going back years. And he must have said, hey, you're going to have to throw something up to Colombo. You're going to have to throw something up there. That's all. We don't want to come down here and just run it. And it's the price of doing business. They were making tens of millions of dollars. So throw them $1 million. You better throw them $1 million, or they're going to come down and take it over. But you can't have Italians. Well, they could. I mean, hypothetically speaking, but everybody doing the drugs down there in Harlem and the Bronx was black. Yeah, Frank Lucas, that's who I was thinking of. These guys were with Frank Lucas that were on the Larry Rolla show. Frank Lucas. Yeah. These guys, they're 70 years old, 75 years old, but that Larry Rolla had them on there. They let them. And so cocaine, artificial leg Annie, she got a little wild and she got a little crazy. And she had a lot of incriminating information on some people, and they shipped her out somewhere. I don't know. They shipped her out. You see what happens sometimes. That's why these organizations stay within their own fraternity, because you get an outside player and then they're half loose cannons, and you go out to the bar or go hang out at this, and they're bragging, oh yeah, I'm with these mafia guys and they're filling my leg up with kilos of cocaine. They just let it all loose. They just let the cat out of the bag, and you don't know who is who. You don't know who is who. There could be FBI agents at these clubs and everything, and they could just bluff somebody like that. Cocaine leg, artificial leg Annie. Yeah, good job, Annie. Boy, you're doing real good. And she thinks it's a wise guy and it's a Fed, and she's telling on everybody. But I don't know where she got lost. I don't know. Unless the FBI wanted to get to her and then have her spill. But you can't even let these, just like they had a stewardess too. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that too. Just like that George Young had that stewardess out in California. That guy, I think it's George Young. Yeah, who was flying. He was a pilot too, but then they had the stewardess. The stewardesses don't go through customs. At least back then they didn't. So you never hear those stories about the mob, but they have the airport, and customs could be corrupted or straight. You don't know when you get off that plane what customs agent you're going to have, or you can look and see the four of them, which row you're going to go in, and then go. But they can call an audible, they could call an audible at the line, and when you're going here, you think that's your agent, and all of a sudden they do the curly shuffle, and it's another agent, and now they're going to frisk you. But back then, the pilots and stewardesses, some pilots did it too. The pilots did it too. They just go right around, no customs. So, but I like Mecca's show. He gets a little racist in there. He's half black, half Jamaican, but I respect what he does to try to downplay the Italians. I mean, I've talked to him on the phone a couple times, and I've talked to him. He was probably one of the biggest crack dealers. Mecca Audio, check him out. He's got his channel. He got caught up and he got busted, and he did his time the hard way. He did his time. But he influenced the crack market back then. Number one guy that did damage as being a high-end crack dealer. That's him. Mecca, Mecca Audio, because he had a car audio custom shop down there in Harlem or the Bronx somewhere, and he calls it Mecca Audio because he was in with high players, people in entertainment. He used to run big disco clubs with all the rap performers back then. He was a high influence, but he just has to have this flavor that, the Italians were less. No. No. Then they try to say when a couple mob guys went in over there to one of the prisons, and he didn't have anybody there. This mob guy comes in prison, and then they think like, well, he wasn't a tough guy, mob guy, and they think that they're gonna come in because there was bookies in the prisons. There was bookies in the prisons that would run. You could bet for whatever of value, you can bet. And there was a couple guys doing it, and they thought they can intimidate a guy. And this is from another guy that did 30 years in Attica in another place that I know. He's an old man now, God bless him. And they said, do whatever you want. You want to intimidate and shake me down? My guys on the street already know where your mom lives, your dad lives, your grandparents, your cousin, your wife. We already know where they live. They live at boom, 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 boom. So do what you want to do. The minute you try to make a move on me, half your family's gone. They act like they're going to intimidate the Italians. No, sorry, no. That's just the way it is. Not because I'm Sicilian or Italian. Those are just the facts. I could be Irish telling you the story. So, yeah, they had a lot of, there was a lot of creative ways of moving them drugs. A lot of very creative ways and strategies that I told some of the people up that were doing that, and the boss knew certain strategies of distribution, certain ways of distribution. The buyer and the seller does not have to be at the same geographical location to make their deal. They don't. That's when you get, they don't. One guy could leave some money somewhere, and the other guy could leave the product somewhere else and act accordingly and just go get your stuff. The deal is done. Well, then they might say something happened and it wasn't there or something. Nah, you better, don't try that back door. Well, we went to get the money and the money wasn't there. And they took the money. Now they want them to pay twice. Nah, that'll get you boom. That's it. No, because people watch. Like if you're in a restaurant, you put money in the ceiling in the bathroom, and then you leave, and then the guy with the drugs is going to come in and take it. There's somebody having a little dinner there, an unknown guy that's still having dinner there, and he's watching who's going in and out of that bathroom. And this all might happen within a 10-minute window. So I was a strategist, and a good one. Wasn't involved. Just a few suggestions. That's all. Just a few suggestions how not to get busted. That's all. So thank you, Lance, Deb, anybody that comes in here, T-Bird, thank you. That's that. If you want to join the channel, the links are there. I already did the NFL. We'll just keep pumping them out, everybody. Good to see you back, Lance. These people have been riding with me for a long, long time. We're over 500 now, Lance, and we're rocking and rolling. We're going to go to 600. I'm monetized, so anybody that comes in here, you can support my channel. The links are in there, and we'll just keep going. I'm pumping them out because you know it was a long road. I had to jump a lot of hurdles. I got blocked. I got censored. Not doing any more politics. Just leave it alone. We're not going there. Well, and then I'm gonna get the software where I don't have to hold my phone up there like that. I can't do that anymore. Hold the phone up to the video on the phone to the thing there. I can't do that anymore. I mean, it's just just ain't good. It just ain't good. Dapper the Rapper, thank you. And DC White Boy, if you're touring in England or Italy, have a good show. Thank you for your support. I appreciate that, with all my heart. I've been doing this. I'm not wealthy. I'm on limited income, and I just try to pump these out. But I'll never have the headphones and the microphone like that. I don't want that. Those Mama Lukes with the headphones. What do you need headphones on? You're doing a web show. Come on. God bless y'all. I'll be back tomorrow, and we'll do it up. Stay safe and be the kings and the queens of your world. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. I was on life support for a year. Don't give up. You could come back. God bless you.